A Light in the Darkness Chapter 45, Fan Fiction by Azazyel. To say the least, with all the nonsense on the way, I focused entirely on fortifying the sect itself, along with spending a whole couple weeks mass sacrificing demons to core out the mountain the sect was built upon and give it spiritual life, so that should the planet we were upon be blasted apart, then the mountain would survive the planet cracking apart and would still be capable of supporting life in the vacuum of space for several weeks, at the least. The mass sacrifice and use of the demons were not without great use, as my foundation was polished and strengthened, allowing me to smoothly scale to the 5th level of the true realm as I strained my low cultivation base to the limit in the ritual to enlighten and bring life to the mountain the heavens equal sect was built upon. But my meditation within a pool of lava was disturbed as I felt a disturbance in the sect's wards, making me sigh as I strode out of the lava with glowing red droplets of molten rock and metal dripping from my form as I threw on my combat outfit that consisted of shoulder guards, armored gloves, and a thin array-filled jacket to protect my chest. "They are already here," I muttered as I strode through the sect towards where I could feel Ellesmere was going, to the edge of the wards, to obviously meet her people. A couple minutes later, as I made my way through the large sect grounds, I was welcomed to the sight of a large Wraith Knight armed with a massive sword radiating eldritch power in its hands, while large cannons were perched on its shoulders. The massive Wraith Knight towered over the 3 Eldar I could see at its feet, one of which was Ellesmere, who was talking with her kin in their tongue. The Eldar's conversation was cut off as the seemingly leading man tipped his head to me as he spoke accusingly to Ellesmere. "This Monkey is to be our supposed savior. He doesn't have the weight of a pisker, nor does he have the anathema's blessing. Was this whole call a joke?" he demanded of Ellesmere, who took a deep breath. But before the accusations could escalate, I cut in. "Are you blind to what is around you? This is a chaos-touched world with demons spawning in every shadow and behind every corner. Yet do you feel chaos's reach for your minds? Do you feel the Prince of Pleasure nibbling at your soul?" I demanded, and the Eldar shared a look of silence before I continued. "And not only that, more spiritual matters. Look at what I and Ellesmere have built. That sun literally is a spiritual sun that absorbs demons that come into the surroundings, whether it be within my disciples' minds or just naturally coming to the area via the weakened warp barriers on the planet," I said, pointing at the golden sun that hung over my sect. "Now, don't call me a Monkey. That irritates me. Especially when I have accomplished what you have not over millennia," I said proudly, with the male Eldar stilling with his helmet-covered head, preventing me from seeing his expression. Then, slowly, he reached up and took off his helmet to throw his ponytail-bound long hair behind him as he spoke. "Ellesmere has spoken of untold miracles that you have created. She has told me that you have found solutions to the endless hounding that she who thirsts brings upon all Eldari souls. Prove it and I will speak to you as my equal," he said, and I couldn't help but tilt my head to the side at his nonsense. "I am not your equal, though. I have not been your equal for a long while, actually. I regularly devour demons in numbers that would break your warriors, and every finger a demon sends to ply upon my mind only feeds the inferno of power within myself. I offer you all a method of mentally shielding yourself from she who thirsts, and in return, all elderly people must pay a price to learn such secrets," I said as I steadily unleashed my cultivation spiritual weight upon the space elves. Even at merely the true cultivation realm, my spiritual weight after devouring countless demons were far stronger than my cultivation realm should naturally allow. It has gotten to the point that the tiny dregs of demons smaller than a finger can't even reach my form as they break apart into spiritual energy under my own soul's pressure. For these Eldar who only had the powerful might of their Pisker powers to defend their souls, they almost buckled with the Wraith Knight swords buzzing with eldritch lightning as it prepared to go to battle with my far smaller form. And what price must my people pay? To be slaves or be under you for eternity? Such a fate is no different than what we face now, human," the male Eldar said proudly as he straightened his back to meet my eyes, and I nodded as I pulled back my cultivation. "Yes. Such a fate would be no different. Whether you join the Tyranids or take your current paths, no matter what, you are a slave to your chains for the sin of creating the demon god Slaanesh. But what if I don't desire your servitude? What if all I desire is 2 things? All who learn the methods must learn via my personally created technique, steel, and will pay respects to the heavens equal sect. I laid out as simply as I could. The visiting Eldar all shared a look before obviously talking to one another either telepathically or through some technology one was unaware of. But I wasn't focused on them, I was instead looking up towards the dark blue and purple sky above us. You were followed. By Tyranids? I spoke uncertainly as I felt an insane mass of pure life force pushing through the atmosphere of the planet heading straight towards the Sect's location. Ellesmere looked up with terror in her eyes as she used her own sensory techniques to look up into the atmosphere, and her face paled at the mass of Tyranids flying down upon the planet. The lead Eldar at my words froze completely as my words were the complete opposite of that he imagined, as he couldn't help but mutter. That's impossible. Demons and the Ultramarine were following the Iondan craft world. How could the Tyranids reach here? They were supposed to be chasing after the green skin hordes. He rambled, devastated as he knew all too well that trying to use their small drop ship that could barely hold the Wraith Knight to evade even a tiny splinter fleet of Tyranids was a fool's dream as their presence shrouded the warp-dulling Pisker abilities. The lead Eldar looked up to the sky and to the Wraith Knight and ordered. Arya uses the suit's maximum scouting abilities to see if they speak the truth. Not even 30 seconds later, a female voice came through a speaker somewhere on the Wraith Knight. It's faint, but it's unmistakable, Captain. It's a splinter of Hive Fleet Leviathan. I looked upon the countless Tyranids within the sky before snorting. Let them come and feast upon a very sun. They cannot break into the Sect with merely physical means, so let them devour the chaos-infested world before moving on. I shrugged uncaringly as I took Ellesmere's arm. Now will you take my offer for teachings while we wait for the swarm to pass, or do you wish to wait outside or even attempt to flee the world? I asked the Eldar leader who gripped his lance rifle thing before loosening his stance as he sighed. Very well. I Countador of Lesser House Morathin, Scout Captain of Iondan's craft world, asked the leader of the Heavens Equals Sect for guest rights and asylum while the Tyranids are within the system's area. And thus, I got 3.5 new Eldar disciples.